So let's dig a little deeper into this with Carmi Levy. He's a technology analyst and journalist, and he's joining us from London, Ontario. So Carmi, let's jump right in. As someone who has been following their various lawsuits closely, what surprises you about the amount in the settlement?
It looks like a really big check, but it's certainly a lot less than it would have been if they had seen this trial through to its end and then lost. By some estimates, the liability could have extended up to about $1.4 trillion, which is about what the company is worth. And so I think someone at Meta essentially looked at the math and said, if we keep losing these cases, and this case did not start off well for the company, that first week of testimony was incredibly damning to the leadership, showing that they knew what was going on, that senior executives had access to reports that showed the mental health impact on kids, and they chose to ignore it, simply didn't get back to them. That if this trajectory had continued, their liability would have been so significant the company would not have been able to continue. So essentially what they're doing is they're cutting their losses, telegraphing their vulnerability and saying, okay, let's make a deal because we simply can't afford the alternative.
Additionally, Meta has agreed to establish further protections for teens, such as daily usage limits and blocks on nighttime use. Considering this is the first time Meta has been forced to change how its platforms function, how significant of a milestone is this?
Fairly significant. I mean, it's a pretty wide-ranging list of changes to the platform that really cut to the heart of how Facebook and Instagram work. And they're explicitly designed to be addictive, to maximize engagement. And so all of the technologies and the tweaks and the tricks that the company has long used to keep people on that platform, and that the endless scroll, the aggressive algorithmic content recommendations, those are all going to be dialed back, and it'll be interesting to see how that affects engagement on the platform. Will it still be as social as it's always been? Will it still be a viable business? Because there's a significant question as to whether Facebook and Instagram will still be Facebook and Instagram after these changes are implemented.
That is a good question. So California's Attorney General says that Meta will implement these changes within months. In your opinion, is this a realistic timeline?
I think so. Frankly, I think their engineers had these changes ready to go years ago, and we're simply waiting for a line to be crossed. And so this buys them a little bit of time to test everything at scale and make sure that it doesn't bring the entire platform down. But at the same time, it's not like they woke up this morning and suddenly realized they had to create these technologies. They've been waiting in the wings. They've been fearing this day for a long time.
What concerns do you think this raises with regard to digital privacy and age verification?
I mean, certainly the more age gating you put in place on a platform, the more information that you have to collect on the individuals, the users that you're claiming to protect. And so parents, and other stakeholders are going to have to trust Meta that these algorithms, these AI and machine learning driven tools are going to do right by their kids, that they're going to collect more information in order to keep them safe. But that data itself won't become vulnerable to future incursions. We certainly don't want to have another Cambridge Analytica scandal because the company is now collecting more information ostensibly to keep our kids safe.
Meta is not the only social media company under scrutiny. TikTok, Snapchat, and YouTube face similar legal challenges. What does this settlement tell us about how their cases could be handled?
It shows that this isn't just a Meta issue. Today we're talking about this one company, but really it's a reckoning for the entire industry. Found it fascinating that Meta deliberately called out YouTube and TikTok in their settlement and said, they're going to hold back 30% of this settlement money until these companies buy into the same terms that Meta is agreeing to today. And so I think the industry is stepping up to the table now. They've been kind of dragged kicking and screaming there, but they all have no choice. Either buy in now, settle now, or it's going to cost you a lot more and there will not be an industry long term.
Although this is a landmark case for the U.S., what could this mean for Canada?
I think it's inevitable that this will wash over the border. Certainly, a reporter had said, at some point, the changes that we're seeing rolling out to the U.S. will come to Canada. Historically, that's what happens. When a certain significant jurisdiction, we've seen, for example, with the European Union, as they have imposed changes on social media and AI companies for their platforms, they started there and then eventually went global. It's a lot cheaper, a lot more efficient, and a lot less risky for these technology companies to roll them out globally than to have different infrastructure for different countries. And so, and also at the same time, we know there's that $4.5 billion Canadian lawsuit from Ontario school boards. It doesn't set a legal precedent, but it'll certainly inform what happens here. It shows that Meta is likely more willing to wheel and deal, sign a settlement, and certainly I would expect lawyers for the case here to be responding in kind to what we're seeing in the U.S. today.
Carmi, thank you. That is Carmi Levy, technology analyst and journalist.